I'm starting a new series. It's going to be called Lewis Scripting. I'm going to be teaching other people how to script, so like a collaboration thing. I have my friend here with me. I'm going to be teaching him how to use global variables. Uh, and yeah, let's get into this. So, do you know what a global variable is?
No, I do not.
It'd be like that. All right. So, normally you think of a global variable, right? This is considered a localized global variable, right? Because
Yep.
it's only defined in this script.
hmm
For instance, if I make another script and I do print A, we run the game, you'll notice, hey, A doesn't exist. Uh, so you can actually get A in another script without using bindable events. Uh, you know what bindable events are, right?
Yep.
Okay. So we're gonna go ahead and do. There are two things: shared. Oh my God, shared global variables and regular global variables, like underscore G.
Yep.
Underscore G is the standardized global variable. Shared, however, is a table version of that, but they're basically the same thing. But one is used for tables and the other one is used for strings and other values. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that does.
Okay. So remember how when I did A equals 2 and I printed out A, it didn't
Yep.
exist? Well, I can actually do, right? So that whenever we do the global variable, we do underscore G dot A. That's how you,
Oh, okay.
and then we do 2. Now, if you run the game, it's still no. Nice. Let me wait a second.
It lied.
And we
Smart.
notice, yeah, I was kind of worried there for a second. um, but yeah, that's essentially how this type works. Now, you could also do this. Right? You could do, I didn't save. Okay, I did save. And it'll print out, it's a table. Now I could do, you know how tables work, the index, you know how table indexes work?
Yeah.
Okay. So we do 1, it would print out the first
A.
index, which is A, right?
Yep.
Now, you could also do objects. So like if you created a part, uh, right, that I just created a part, I could print out A now.
And it spawned a
Does that
part.
make are you confused yet?
Nope.
Okay. Weird.
Understand.
Dang. I'm joking. So we do part of position. So we're gonna set the position, or I can't set the position in the print statement. I can set the position to. So remember how we index? We get the part. We do underscore g, right? Then the variable
hmm
name.
Yep.
We can do dot position. It was vector 3 dot new 555. That would set the position to 555.
Sweet.
Bear in mind we're not doing that where it's actually assigned, right?
Yep.
Now you could also do it. Uh, you remember? So client side also has the same thing. But if we notice, magical stuff will happen.
Whoa,
You
that was pretty
can't.
magical.
Yeah, I know it's pretty magical. You can't. So client server ownership is still a thing. You know what that is?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I don't.
Yeah, no. Okay. It's pretty simple. So client server ownership is so when I play this game, I am a client. I'm joining as a client, right?
Yep.
I don't have access to the server.
Ah, okay. I didn't know
So
that.
if we notice that this part exists on the client, it doesn't actually exist on the server.
Yep.
See, even though I'm literally floating on a server.
Ah, okay, I didn't know that's what it's called.
So
Alright.
that's basically what client server ownership is. It's when client has something that server does not. Now, in order for that to be replicated over to server, you're going to have to use a remote event or remote function. Does that make sense?
Yep.
I have a video on that. If you guys are confused, just watch that video. It's pretty good because I made it.
Wow.
I don't know. Anyway, let's pretend I didn't say that. But so now, if we go back to the way we did it before, whoa, no errors.
Whoa.
Yeah. All right. So you understand how that works.
Yep.
Now it's basically like any other variable. You can set it to a table. You can set it to a number. You can also do multiple global variables. You can do underscore g dot table equals table. Now inside of that table, you can do dot a equals 2. You can't do it like that. Now we have a global table with a global variable. This would never be used in real life. Kids, please don't do this in real life. Now, if we notice we print that table, hey, it still works. Whoa. You,
Whoa.
you follow, you know, do you know how this
Yeah,
works?
yeah.
Do I need to explain?
Yep. No, no, it's all
Okay.
good.
So, I created a table with a global variable with the global A2.
Yep.
You could also do a module that's global. If we make a module script and do underscore underscore g dot module, return the module, right? And we could actually do a function in here, print stuff, bruh, hello
Nice.
world. All right, now we can't. I'll show you what happens if I call it. Now, if I wait a second and call that, it'll error. Now, the reason it's erroring is because this is just a module, right? Modules don't do anything without being
So being
ran,
like,
so you have
yeah.
to require them. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
So, you know how to require a module?
Yep.
Okay, so we're going to go ahead and require that module in another script. Server storage dot, or server script service. Script service dot module
Module
script.
script.
Now if we run the game, we can
Sweet.
call the function, the global function, with just requiring. Now that is how backdoors are put into games, by the way, in case you were wondering. Um, yeah, so that's how that works. Don't do that, kids. Backdoors are bad. Also, please virus check your games because I've had first-hand experience with fake plugins that happen to be viruses. They're pretty. They're not very nice. I don't know why people do that.
Yeah, and don't use free models.
Yeah,
Um,
that's a good one.
'Cause
That's like
yeah.
actually godly advice right there. Okay, so that is how underscore g works.
Cool.
Now you can do everything you can with a normal variable you can do with underscore g. Now let's get to underscore or shared. Shared is the same exact way. So we're gonna do this, but with underscore or with shared, you cannot do when you do shared, you have to use shared. Does that make sense? And vice
Yep.
versa. So if I did this and I did, I'm gonna create an index. Now if I went to my script, wait a second for it to render. We can do, we can't do underscore g, right? Dot a. If we notice, it will print no, because we made this a shared global
Hmm.
variable
Yep.
because they decided, and the Roblox people decided to make it different, even though they're basically the same thing. I believe there are some differences, but those differences are not really noticeable. Does that make sense?
That
It's
makes sense.
just yeah, it's just one of those things that you just go with.
Okay.
So we don't talk about that. But if I do shared.a,
Then it would
it'll
print
print
table.
the table, right?
Hmm.
Because a is a table. Now if I do share.aa, I
Then it
should
would
have named
print
it
the
differently.
number.
It'll print 5 because that's 5. Now you can do modules with this also. Uh, you can also make functions with this. You can do shared dot function test equals function a b. We can do print a plus b, right?
Yeah.
Oh, that's in the module script. What am I doing? Now we could just call this function. We can do 1, 2. Oh yeah, I didn't do shared in front of it. I know, unforgivable.
My YouTube channel now.
Take away my scripting license. All right, so now we notice it does. Whenever we call it like a function, it's a plus b, right? Because that's what the function is telling
Sweet.
us. You can also do that with underscore g because they're, like I said, the same thing. Do you
Yeah.
have any questions?
Nope. I think it makes sense to me so far.
Okay. Now you can do the same exact thing on client. Uh, do I even need? Should I show an example on client?
Might as well.
Okay. Well. Uh. Okay. We're gonna make a local script. Then we're gonna make another local script. Wait, this is the one that has to wait. This one doesn't have to wait. So if we just play the game,
It would only appear for that one player and not for the server. Yes, sir.
why is it erroring? It literally worked 10 seconds ago, and I know you guys saw it work.
Is it because you're doing local now?
It doesn't work. It shouldn't matter though, because yeah. Why is it not working? Oh, delete. Oh my god. This doesn't make any sense. You saw it work like 10 seconds ago, right?
Yeah.
So, another classic Roblox engine issue. And then we're gonna do A, B, and then we're gonna print A plus B. Then we're gonna make another function. We're just gonna call the function. It's gonna error, kids.
Thank you
Oh, it
for
didn't error.
spoken.
I
Oh,
literally am not doing anything different.
hmm. You used a typo. And same thing works for shared as well.
Yeah,
Because, like he said, there's very little differences
yeah.
in the
So I
two.
literally worked all. What?
Strange.
I didn't change anything.
There's a ghost.
Okay. This is something Dev King would cut out.
True. I mean,
But
wait, what?
yeah, what? But no. So it works both sides. Now it works for no apparent reason, even though I literally didn't change a single thing, even though it's literally the same thing it was before. But that's how global variables work. Now, bear in mind, there's a difference between localized global variables and global variables. localized and globalized variables. Globalized variables are these. They can be accessed in any script on the same uh, access level. Access. Do you know what an access level is?
No, I do not. I've never heard of that.
Okay, so an access level is essentially a client and server. Client cannot
Okay.
access server without permission, like unless you give a remote event or remote function.
Okay. Yeah.
Now, server can always access client. So the tree goes client and then there's server. Everything above server can access everything below that. So server can access
Hmm.
everything below itself. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
So
So it's like a parent and child rule still,
basically,
sort
yeah.
of
So
thing. Yeah.
client is parented to right. Client is a child of server. If that makes sense.
Yep.
Just literally, just think of it like this.
It's like if you were to put a so
I'm
the
looking for
if you were
part.
to put like a click detector or something inside of a part,
Yeah,
and let's say the click detector was the client
yeah,
and the part was the server. So the client is the child. So it's like on a hierarchy scale, it's the lower. Um, yeah, you know
yeah.
what I mean, right?
Actually, that's a
So,
really good analogy. Man, taking my job already. Jeez. Yeah, exactly what he said, right? We can't have the click detector without the part, and we can't have the part without the click detector. They both rely on each other equally, if that makes sense. Does that make sense?
yes, sir.
So just think of this is the client, this is the server, right? But it's not really like that. It's more like HTTP requests and a bunch of C++ code instead of click detector.
Yeah, yeah.
uh, yeah, that's physics engines are wonderful things. But do you have any questions? No.
No, I think I learned something
All right, so
that
I
I
think I
think,
should do a summary. Like, do you so repeat back what you learned exactly?
bruh.
Come
Okay,
on now.
so shared and underscore G are about the same thing. Um, they're both global variables, and if you wanted to, how can I say this? So let's say um, in a script you had a global variable, or no, actually I'll do local and global first. So a local variable would be one in just that singular script. And then if you were to do, yeah, so if you were to put a variable there, if you have the word local before, um, like that would be considered a local variable to that script.
Let me stop you right there.
Oh shoot,
Now, if we have a function, local variable,
I was getting to that.
local variable. Oh my God, local variables are enclosed in the scope that is it is defined. So if we define a local variable, that is not a local variable. If we
I
define a
hate
local
that.
variable, variable equals to, this is in the global scope, right? Because it's outside. Now, if we printed that, right? That's not what I put. There it is. If we print var, it's 2.
Yeah,
Now, if we did a function and we did test function, and we did local
I
var.
was I was getting to that, but yes, yes.
Oh, you were? Apologies.
Yeah,
I mean, I thought the way you explained it was a little
yeah, I
too.
know, but yeah,
So, yeah, yeah, for the people that didn't understand what he was saying, this is basically what he meant. Because I know there's going to be some people out there that don't know what he's saying. Because that's why you watch scripting videos for help, right? But, yeah, so what he's saying is variables defined in the global scope. It's called the global scope, if you didn't know already, right? The global scope is everything that is in here, right?
yep,
That's global
bef
scope.
yep,
Now the exception to that rule is if you make a function and you do this. B is now in the global scope, right? We can print B once the function is called. If we call A, B is 2. That's the global scope. Now, however, if we do local B, it's outside of the global scope. It's now nil. Does that,
Yep.
okay. Now, continue.
Oh shit. Okay. Where was I?
You were talking about scopes.
Just poor T. Okay. So, um, man, this is really hard to explain without screen sharing. Holy. Okay, so, uh, okay, so if you were to, yeah, so with that, okay, thank you. Okay, so if you were to use a underscore G or shared, that'd be basically and if you were to do like and if you were to make that into a variable, of course, you can transfer that from script to script. So I'm bad at explaining things. Okay, so I'm just trying to think of like a example for this. So let's say, hmm,
Do you need some help?
sure. I'm just trying to think of like an example that would be easy for everyone to kind of
Yeah, I got one.
like piece together. Yeah,
Yeah.
sure, go for it.
So, an example of a global variable. Let's say you were making a round system, and you wanted one player to be the chosen sheriff or murderer or whatever you want him to be. But the problem is the only way for you to transfer that, and you have another script that has to check whether or not the monster or jeez, or the murderer or the sheriff has a certain item. Well, you could use an object value like a normal person, or you could use a shared variable by just doing player or chosen player. And now, wherever that chosen player is, you can just do chosen player dot backpack, and now you can check for that tool instead of doing game dot players dot whatever blah 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 blah. Right? Is that? Do
Yeah.
you think does that? Will that? Do you understand that example?
Yeah, that's a lot easier to understand.
Now, you could also do that with a local variable or a scoped variable, or globalized scoped variable, like we talked about these two. But
Yeah.
the problem with that is it would only be accessible inside the script compared to these two, which are accessed everywhere in the same access level, like we talked about client and server.
Yep.
Uh, Dania, do you want to share an example?
Hmm. I don't have one right now.
Okay, I have another example.
Then go for it, smart man.
Oh, thank you.
Mega mind.
It took me a while. Don't worry. But you can, let's say you had a part and you wanted to keep track of um, normally you would I'm just this off the top of my head. Let's say you had a part and you wanted to check how many players touched that part. You could make a global function to check whether or not the part was touched, doing like this. Uh, I don't like the red, so I'm gonna go ahead and do that. We can do a function uh, part dot touched, right? And then we connect function blah 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 the part information, and we can return a. So whenever we call that thing, whenever the part is touched, right? Or we can print out the person who touched it and add it to a table. Now
Yep.
that table will be accessible in the that function that has the table. We will be accessible anywhere on the same access level. On server, if it's on server, then it will be accessible anywhere on server. If it's on client, it'll be accessible anywhere on client. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Now, the last example I have is let's say you had um, a geez, let's say you had a leaderboard, The
Okay.
leaderboard. Let's say that each there are two teams, Team A and Team B, and you wanted to be able to access the current team stats anywhere without using bindable events. In this case, you can literally just do shared or underscore G as global variables instead of using bindable events or object values. This is more secure than object values, uh, and it's also cleaner to look at instead of having 20,000 object values to debug if there's an issue. If that makes sense,
Yeah,
yeah,
true.
yeah.
Yeah.
So you can just keep a table of all the players. Like if we did, Sally has a table, and in her table she has 5 kills, and she's level 20, right? And then her current loadout is I don't know,
Assault.
yeah, or just primary. We can have M9 or M4, and then we can have like M9.
Handgun.
Yeah, these are assault rifle, handgun. Now Sally just got a kill, so all we have to do is do underscore G or underscore C dot the player name. So in this case, Sally dot kills plus equals 1, and that'll add to Sally's current kills. Or we can do stuff like that, right?
Okay.
Now I would not recommend doing that because that's a terrible idea. But this is for practice, right? You're learning how to do
Yeah.
things you usually do. Yeah. Does that
Yeah.
make sense?
Yep.
Any questions?
No.
All right. Like I said, thanks for attending.
Yeah. I'll get better questions next time
It'd be
and
like
better
that sometimes.
examples.
It'd be like that sometimes. Don't worry, I was making stuff up on the spot, so no worries. But if you want to be on an episode or be a part of the series, just message me on Discord. Send me the messages on Roblox. I believe my private messages are open. Uh, just you know, let me know, or I'll leave a YouTube comment, and I'll just leave me your Discord tag, and I'll invite you to a voice chat. And you can ask me what you need help with, and then I'll do a video on it. All right. So see you next time. Bye.
Peace.